Hi.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the final video in our series. This is musicianship. Gosh, can't believe we've got here now. So if you've been doing our course with us, either online or in person, we've been drip feeding the musicianship through each session. But if you are new to this, we're going to give you some information on what they will ask you for the last section. One of the things they're going to talk about is the parts of a ukulele. So let's just have a look at the ukulele here. You will see this part here is the body, the main body. Then up this end here, you have got the tuning pegs, or sometimes called machine heads or keys. It really does depend on where you've kind of learnt it, but we tend to call them tuning pegs. This is your fretboard and this is your bridge.
So in your exam, you may be asked to point one of those parts of the ukulele out. So it's just worth practicing that, just getting somebody to call them out to check that you are happy with where everything is. The other thing you might get asked is to play a note or tell the examiner the name of a note. I'm going to show you what I mean. You'll notice on page 22 of your exam book, there is a C major scale, which sounds like this. And you'll see that written in tab, and if you're not sure how to read tab, if you go back to one of our previous videos, we do cover that in the Oh Susanna video, so that will teach you how to read the tab. Now the C major scale is there because those are all the notes that you need to know on the ukulele. So actually, if I now call them out as I play them, these are the only notes you need to know. C, we should know that anyway because that's an open string. D, second fret on the C string. E, open string. F, first finger on the E string. G, third finger on the E string. A, which is an open string. B, second fret on the A string. And C, top C, third fret on the A string. So those are all the notes that you need to know, and you'll be questioned on those in your exam. So the examiner might say to you, for example, what note is the second fret on the C string? So it's okay for you to then think about that. And if you've learnt how to play that C major scale, you might do C, D, and then you might play it and say D. The correct answer is D. Or should we do another one? What note is the second fret on the A string? So thinking back to that C major scale, A, B, B. What note is the third fret on the A string? C. The other way that you may be asked the same question is play me a D note on the C string. So don't be caught, because some examiners approach it a different way, don't they?
Yeah.
It's good to be prepared for two types of questioning. So if you're asked to play the D note on the C string, you literally do this. You play the second fret on the C string.
And as Angelique said, it's absolutely okay for you to say the notes down until you get to that one in your head and then pluck it, isn't it?
Definitely. And actually, I think we both approach learning the notes in the same way. It's quite good to learn that scale and say the notes as you're learning it.
Yeah.
That's what's going to get you the fluency. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. That's the way to learn it, and then you can just ask somebody in the household to ask you different notes. They might ask you the open strings. I've noticed that's cropped up a few times recently. So don't forget G, C, E, A, good children eat apples. Something that might disappear when you're nervous. It's just good to have that ready.
Absolutely.
And finally, you will get asked to identify chord types, and some people get a little bit worried about this, but we're going to make it really, really simple. You don't need to worry about it at all. So there are 3 chord types that you are asked to become familiar with. Major chords. Now, major chords normally sound very bright. Here's a G major chord. They've got a happy, bright tone to them. D major, C major. Thinking of sunshine and rainbows and happiness and chocolate. So just think of those as sounding very bright and happy. I think it would be useful for you to play all the major chords that you know and just get your ears used to identifying that bright, happy tone. Then we've got minor chords. Now, minor chords in contrast sound moody. unhappy. Just got a nice moody tone to them. So more grey skies. Rainy days and sadness. And then the final chord, sevenths, dominant sevenths. We kind of say that these got a bit of a funk, kind of do a bit of a jazzy dance for the G7s of the world. They kind of got a little bit of a flamenco dancer tone to them.
Makes you want to move your hips a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, they've got like nice funky jazzy tone to them. So the way that you are examined on those chord types is the examiner will play 2 or 3 bars of a repeated rhythmic pattern. You all have to listen to the rhythmic pattern and then you'll be asked to clap back the rhythm. Should we try that now?
Yeah, let's do it.
So we'll do that first. So for example, they might play something like this. Could you clap back the strumming rhythm for that excerpt, and you will just literally clap the rhythm. And that's it. Mm-hmm. Then the examiner will say to you, would you like to hear the chords again? And I think you should always say yes. Absolutely. Because even if you think you knew what they were, you may be nervous. So then they play them again. And then the next question I'll ask you is, are those chords major, minor or dominant seventh? So this is where you're thinking, were they happy and bright? Were they moody? Or did they have like that jazzy, funky tone to them? So the correct answer for those was, see if you guessed it right, major.
Well done. Okay, so the last thing they might ask you is they would ask you to do a key signature or time signature from a piece that you have already played. So this is something that you can have in the back of your mind because you know they're going to ask it to you, and they're only going to ask you from one of the pieces that you've played in your exam. So first up is the key signature. Now the key signature is it's really, really super easy. All you do is you go to the piece that you have played, one of the pieces, and you look at what the first note is. So for example, with that accompaniment that we just played, there was a D minor. So you just say D minor, and if it's got a little M, that's always a minor, everything else is a major. And it will be the same at the beginning and at the end. So if they say, what's your key signature for your accompaniment, you will just say D minor.
Yep, so that accompaniment 3 is D minor. And then each of the accompaniments has a different key signature. So I'm just going to grab the book and show you. So for example, the key signature for accompaniment number 1 is G major, because the first and the last chord are G. And the key signature for accompaniment number 2 is D major, because the first and the last chord are Ds. Nothing more complicated than that. You'll also be asked the time signature. Mm-hmm. Now, don't worry about this, it's super easy as well. The time signature is literally represented in the 2 numbers at the beginning of your piece. So it's generally, for all the pieces in grade 1, it's 4/4 or 3/4. And that is telling you how many beats there are per bar. And if it's a 4/4, there are 4 crotchet beats in the bar, like this, show you underneath. And if it's 3/4, there are 3 crotchet beats in the bar. So the correct answer is, so for example, if we look at accompaniment 1, the time signature is 4 crotchet beats in a bar. The key signature is G major. Accompaniment number 2, the time signature is 4 crotchet beats in a bar. The key is D major. We'll do accompaniment 3 as well, just to make sure we've got it. Accompaniment number 3 is 3 crotchet beats in a bar for the time signature, and the key signature is D minor, because the first and the last chord are D minor. And that's it.
Good luck with your exam.
Let us know if you've got any questions at all about the musicianship, and we're there to help you. Good luck.
Bye.